going to run through a number of different things that I think you should consider before booking a photographer. So the first thing really was, have you researched various photographers' work ranging from £500 to £5,000? Do you even think, that is the scale? If you don't, this is a big wake-up call, because that is the scale. Some of the best photographers in the country and some of the best photographers in the world are going to be 3 to 5k at least. And then people who are starting out, like I started out over 10 years ago, are going to start from about £500. Does that mean they are professional at £500 to £1,000 kind of remit? That's really up for you to decide. But at the same time, I full well know that I was just working things out when I first started. I was just trying to understand what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. Completely different quality, completely different mindset, completely different way of how I run my business, and just the realities of life is that I cannot live off of £500. And because I saw other photographers work when I first started out, I was just so amazed by what they were producing. I wanted to get better. I wanted to get that good. And so I invested money in others who were way better than me to get better myself. And I've spent thousands of pounds over the years to get better. And I hope you can see that it's kind of paid off, I think there's a definite distinction, and a distinction that I can absolutely make in my photography career, where I went from kind of standard photography and what I thought was wedding-y photography to what I wanted to do myself and what I loved myself and how I wanted to edit, how I wanted to shoot, and also just put my own stamp on it as well, to say this is what I love to do, this is the way I do it, do you love it? And so I've used my own way of doing things in order to think about the end result. On an engagement shoot and on a wedding, where there's no preconceived plans, there's no preconceived ideas, because I want to have a walk around with a couple, and because by the wedding, because they've had the engagement shoot, we've spent lots of time together, they understand what I'm looking for, and they understand that I'm not looking at the classic shots. I'm not looking at the shots that every other photographer has done at that wedding venue before. I'm looking completely differently to things and the environments around, and making those shots my own then, in the hope that when the couple see those photographs and other people see those photographs, they're like, wow, where's that? And I'll say, well, that's from this venue. I've never seen that at that venue before. Yes, get it. That's what I want to do, give you something as a couple, something completely different than the norm, because anyone can do the norm, and lots of people do the norm. Not many photographers are going to give you something a bit more wow, a bit more creative and diverse. Have you researched various photographers' work ranging from £500 to £5,000? If you haven't, I implore you to, because you will never understand it until you look at some of the best in the country, some of the best in the world, and then make yourself down to someone who's just starting out at £500. You've got to see that range to understand what's out there. If you only look between £500 and £1,000, you're only going to see a certain quality, and it's going to be pretty bog standard wedding photography. It's not going to be something wow and diverse. That's what more experienced photographers are going to deliver to you, and so you've got to be prepared for the fact that photographers don't just charge £500, £1,000, they charge a lot more than that, and as well they should, dependent and reflection on the quality and the time that they give you. What time is this photographer giving you? Have a look at what different photographers give you. A lot of photographers just starting out are only going to give you 8 hours, sometimes 10 hours. Professional photographers who've been doing it for a long time, absolutely love their job, love what they do, will give you their all. I give you my all. I do 12 hours plus on a wedding day, genuinely because I love it, and also the fact that on the wedding day, if you're starting your bridal preparation off at 9 o'clock, and your first dance is going to be 8 or 9 o'clock perhaps, and let's say it's the summer, that photographer doing 8 hours isn't going to be able to capture that. They've put a full stop at the end of it. I don't put a full stop at the end of it. I'll go when I think I'm ready to go, which is generally, after 12 hours. And if I was doing 9 to 9, then some times in the summer, I might not be able to capture a sunset. If I'm there for a good 12 hours, I absolutely can. I don't want to miss things. I want to capture those cool moments. I do know when I think I've caught enough and I've captured enough and it's really, really good coverage. and it might be less than 12 hours, but generally speaking it's a good 12 hours plus, because I love it, and I love capturing all those details of the day. And if you only do 8 hours, there's only a certain amount of detail you're going to catch. It's not just the time on the wedding day. So many people see price and then they think, you know, £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, you're only there for, you know, a day. It's so much more than that. You know, it's the preparation before that you don't know that we do. It's the admin about things. It's the for me, it's the engagement shoot, spending time with a couple. I love to spend time with a couple initially when someone's emailed me and they've contacted me and they want to meet me. We then meet up, we have some drinks, we then run through lots of things, and I run through things really, really, really in detail, because I want you to leave that meeting so much more excited about your photography and about your wedding. And I need you to be informed about what I do specifically and uniquely, so you know exactly what you're getting, rather than you seeing photographers' work, not really going into it that much detail, not really looking through their work that much, sending them an email, booking them, and you haven't even met them. You haven't even spent time with them. You haven't even talked to them. And then come the wedding, after they've done the photographs, you have no idea how they're going to shoot on the day because you haven't spent enough time with them. You then see the results and think, well, this isn't what we thought we would receive. You know, you need to know what you're going to get. And so that will only happen when you spend time with them. I love spending time with my couples. I spend more time with my couples than most photographers I know. Why? Because I love it, and I want you guys to be informed and to know what you're going to get and to have fun, you know, and I do this, I market as an experience, because I want you guys to have an experience. The engagement shoot is the next thing after meeting. We'll run through timings and plans for the wedding as well before the wedding. On the engagement shoot, we get to plan where we want to do it, and I don't shoot the same place twice for the engagement shoot. I try and get you to think outside the box, so you're not picking your obvious general location that everyone else has their engagement shoot shot at. We go deeper into things, we discuss things at length to make sure we get a really cool location, so that I can really utilise it for you and give you something wow. And at the same time, we get to spend time together, we get to develop that relationship, and you get to understand how I shoot and why I shoot that way, so there's no surprises on the wedding. And on the wedding day, especially in the morning, we've got such a better relationship. It's, you know, with the bride and groom and stuff, you're like, oh, hey, Nick, come on in. You know what I'm going to do in terms of me just being a fly on the wall in the morning. There's no surprises in that. You know that I want to put you in the right light, and you're happy to move around and do different things in order for me to achieve those great shots for you. So yeah, go onto my website to really show the time. But I give so much time to my couples, genuinely, because I want you to have a good time, you know. And I want to give as much as I can to you as well and give you great coverage. Can you see the value in what this photographer is doing? So the photographers that you're looking at and then making comparisons to, lots of different people, you know, through that I've known over the years, has, you know, seen different photographers' work, they like different photographers' work, they make a list of that, and then they can compare different things. And I think the best way to compare things is to also meet them. Meet the person behind the camera as well, make sure they've detailed things as much as possible. But yeah, as I said, you've got to see the value. There's no way you're going to spend much on your photos and your photographer unless you value them, unless you appreciate what they do. All my couples value me and have appreciated me. If they didn't, they wouldn't have booked me. They see the value in spending more. They see the value in something different from the sort of generic wedding photography, and that's why they book me. They want something different. They want something more creative. They want that time. They want the engagement shoot to get used to the camera, especially if they're a bit shy. They want to get used to me as a person and spend some more time with me. They want to be wowed before their wedding, which is what I try and achieve, you know. So you've got to see the value in what they do, and it's the same thing with lots of different things in life. You know, I love good wine. I'm never going to spend $3.99 on a bottle of wine. It's just not me. I don't see value in a $3.99 bottle of wine. I drink it and try it, and it tastes like vinegar. You know, for you guys that go away every now and then to hotels, you're not going to invest in a 1-star hotel. You're going to go 3, 4, maybe even once a year a 5-star hotel, because that's just the way that some people are. You know, we value different things. You girls specifically, you know, you value your hair and makeup so much more than us guys, so much so that you're willing to spend X amount per month in order to look look your best. And you go to specific people, even though they might be more expensive than possibly you think they might be, but the value you see in them and the way that you love the way you look after that is incomparable. You know, you love that, and that's why you invest in that person. The same thing with, I guess, most of us guys in cars and stuff. I'm not too big into my cars, but as a professional wedding photographer for many years, I cannot be late to places, one. Two, I have to arrive there safely and get there in good time and be confident that my car does not break down, you know. So recently I've had to invest in a new car because my old car that I've had for 12 years was on its way out. I cannot have that on a wedding. I appreciate a decent car and lots of attributes to tick off before I purchase that car. Price is one of them, sure. Quality is another thing. Quality of engine, the quickness of that car, the luxuriousness of that car, the colour of that car even. All these things, you know, make me make that decision on that car. So I've always bought VW. And I love my VW, you know, and it's not the most expensive car in the world, but it's not the cheapest car in the world either. But the value I have for that is so big, and I really appreciate it now, and I look after it because I appreciate it so much. So check the value that you have for that photographer. You know, that's really, really important. You know, value does cascade into what is in that package, but the importance of what's in that package compared to how much you love their work and appreciate their work, and they are the one for you as their character and their work, is more important than what's in their packages. You know, first and foremost, love their work. Does this photographer excite you about your wedding and your photography? So you should be leaving a meeting with me more excited about your wedding photography and more excited about your wedding, because and this is only from experience, from what couples have had their time with me, you know, in that if I don't excite you about your photography, I'm not the right photographer for you. Thankfully, people have left more excited because they can see what actually can be achieved with photography so much more than what they previously thought. Now they've had a really good chat about it with the photographer, who's the skilled person behind that job, you know. So, you know, you've got to be excited about the person that you've booked, and that goes for everything that you plan for your wedding. If you're not excited about what that person's going to bring to you and trust and have confidence in that person, they are not the right person, you know. Do not rush these decisions. It's really, really important. Make sure you find the right person. They may not be the cheapest, they may not be the most expensive, they may not be what you deem as super reasonable, but whoever they are, they've got to be the right person. What makes their work different to other photographers' work? So, you know, you've got to see a difference in people's work, and you'll only really see that difference when it goes above £1,500. There are some photographers who will charge less, who still produce fantastic work. I personally think that they should be in a different tier. I think they should be charging more. As a business and as someone who gives other photographers tuition, because I've had 10 years experience now, I really think there's some photographers out there are undercharging what they should be charging. But at the crux of it, you've got to be able to tell the difference. If you can't tell the difference, you probably need to spend more time looking through their work and definitely having meetings with them to really understand. If they are a professional photographer, they're going to show you what they do and why in a lot of detail, so that you can say, I love that, and I understand that, and I understand why you do that, and you do that, and you do that. Definitely that's what I do, and I show why I compose my images a certain way. I show them why I took that in that circumstance. I say why I shoot naturally more than posed. However, there are good times to do posing in certain, you know, environments and at a certain time of the day. The mark of a great photographer is that they can make their pose shots look very, very natural, even though they are semi-posed, you know. And you can only achieve that once you've had the experience to do that. You know, if you see my work from 10 years ago to where it is now, it is night and day. It's completely different quality, shot a completely different way. I have a completely different ethos on what I do and why. But you know, the differences in my work have become my USPs, my unique selling points. The fact that I give so much time to my couples, way more than most photographers. The fact that I do an engagement shoot as part of most of my packages, to spend time with my couples, to give them something creative, to have photographs somewhere the likes of which they'll never have again, and in that location anytime soon and again, you know. You can see the way that I edit, the way that I shoot more warm, the way that my compositions are shot centered or left or right justified, the way that I use light, lots of different things. You've got to be able to see those distinctions in someone's work, you know, and then make those comparisons with other photographers whose work you love. Do you like their character? Do you get on well with them? Booking someone without seeing them is a really bad thing to do, because you don't know them as a person, you don't know their character, you might clash as characters. I think when you meet someone, you develop more trust and confidence in them. You get to understand exactly what they do. Our characters might clash, and I've got to be prepared as a professional wedding photographer of over 10 years to say, guys, I would love to shoot your wedding for you, but from what we're discussing and talking about, and your reactions to things and everything else, and the fact that sometimes I've had meetings where people, you can just tell they're not listening. I've got to be man enough and professional enough to say, guys, I really don't think we're a good fit. You know, I don't think that our characters are gonna work too well, and I don't really think you understand what I do here specifically. You know, I've got to be professional enough to better say that. Genuinely, I love my clients so much. Honestly, my job just doesn't work without a good relationship. Honestly, and it cascades to the engagement shoot, it cascades to the morning and the whole day of the wedding, and the fact that some couples through the years, you know, we're all different people, but we have, you know, we have sensitivities and things, and I need to know that I can go to my couples and say, guys, I've got this issue with something, can I talk to you about it? And vice versa. You know, if someone's really camera shy, hopefully we've kind of crossed off a few things from the engagement shoot because they spent some time with me and they can see how I do things now, so hopefully it will relax their anxieties. But, you know, if there's a sensitive thing, you guys as couples have got to be able to come to me and discuss that with me and not be embarrassed to discuss that with me, and I've got to be sensitive enough to take all that on, you know. So getting on well with that person is just really, really key. Thank you for spending the time listening to this. This is really important, I think. Do you think you'll be getting a good service from this photographer? So, you know, you found a photographer at £500. You kind of like their work. Yeah, just book them. It's not just price. It's not just the quality of the work. There's so many more things to tick off. Have you thought about the service that photographer's giving you? Not just the price and what they do. You know, what about the experience they give you? It can't be at the end of the time, fantastic photographer, amazing photography, horrible person. Oh, the service was awful. You know, you can't have that. You want to, as a photographer, as a self-employed person, as a professional, tick so many boxes after you capture that wedding. You want to say that you love that person, their character. You want to say that you love the service that they gave you, had an amazing experience, likes of which you've never have again. You know, you love the quality of their work. There's got to be so many things you tick off. What is a good service? You've never booked a professional wedding photographer before because you've never booked a wedding before. How would you know what a good service is until you've had that service? And this is kind of the problem with wedding photography, is that you unless you have an engagement shoot beforehand, you won't even see that work until after the wedding. Your trust levels in that person must be huge. Do you know what I mean? Which is why a lot of people invest in more expensive photographers, because there is much less risk booking someone who's far more experienced than someone who's only been doing it for a few years. So it makes a lot of sense, you know, to tick off those boxes and make sure there's a number of things you tick off. What do you see and feel when looking at their work? So important, guys. So many people book from emotion. So many people see various different photographers, especially reportage wedding photographers, where they've captured that moment so well, you know, and that is an art, that is a skill. It takes a lot of timing, it takes a lot of skill to better capture that. But you've got to have an emotive response to all the things you book for your wedding, especially wedding photography. You've got to love what that person does and think, oh, you know, you've got to feel like you're wowed by their work. And generally speaking, you're only going to be wowed by photographers who've been doing it for a long time and are producing wow work and are producing those wow shots and those creative shots, you know. You've got to pinpoint those things that you're loving about their work, which is why you're going to book them. What are they offering that someone else isn't offering? Have an emotional response to their work. What are you feeling when you see their work? If you've got no response to them, they're not the right photographer for you. They do not make your shortlist. And remember, no wedding's the same, and no wedding is perfect either. You know, we are not doing a shoot on a wedding day. A wedding is not a shoot. There'll be some photographers who will set up more kind of posed kind of photography, and there's elements of posing that even I do, even though I'm more natural and more creative. And those are things to make that shot is as spot on as I can. Things like just moving the face. You know, if you're looking at each other and you're slightly off, I just want you just to move your head just very slightly, just to make it as perfect as I can in camera. However, as I said, it is not a shoot. We're not setting things up to make it look perfect. We're capturing whatever happens as a natural wedding photographer, you know. And the same way as their character. Do you like their character? Oh, we just met with Emma, who's a really good photographer. We just met with Nick. We just met with whoever. They're such a nice person, and their photography. You know, that's what you got to feel. If you don't feel like that, why are you booking them? You know, if you don't feel that about their photography, you're probably just booking them because they're cheap and not because you love the quality of their work. You know, book them because of the quality of their work. Which brings me on nicely to this. Do you love this photographer's work? Have you seen their work? Do you adore it? You know, is that a weird concept for you to think, what do you mean do I love their work? You know, why are you booking them if you don't love what they do? You know, why are you even contacting them if you don't love what they do? Because you're only going to be contacting them so either you've seen their work and you're like, we've got to contact this person, or you're just contacting them to ask their price or if they're free on your wedding day, you know. No photographer, however inexpensive they are, however inexperienced they are, wants to be booked because they're cheap. They want to be booked because you love what they do. Nothing makes me happier than when I receive an email and someone has detailed why they've contacted me. The fact that they've seen, the fact that they love my use of light, that they love my use of colour, and that the photographs look so natural, and that it's creative and different from other people's work. These are all the things that I spent these last 3 or 4 years working hard on to develop and get better, to give you better at the end of the day, you know. And the fact that people comment on that is just like, so good. That time that I spent has really, really, you know, made a difference, you know, and that's what people are looking for. So if you do not love a photographer's work, like your head over heels about their work, they are not the right person for you. And that goes with so many other things with what you're booking for your wedding. If you do not love that venue, then that's not the right venue for you. If you don't love what that specific florist is doing, or you don't love that dress, like 1,000%, if you don't love that suit, don't book it, don't buy it, you know. If you don't love what that specific videographer is doing, if you don't love that band, if you don't love that DJ, then don't book them, you know. It's got to be that you love what they do. Be more thorough, research more. It's going to help you at the end of the day. You got one shot, get it right. And I want to be part of that, you know. I genuinely want to be part of your day and this whole experience to give you an awesome time. So just to recap right at the end, do you love what this photographer's work is? You know, do you love what they do specifically? What do you see and feel when looking at their work? Do you think you'll be getting a good service from this photographer? What else are they offering you as well as great photography and their character and what they do? Do you like their character? Do you like them? Do you get on well with them? You know, it's so important. What makes their work different to other photographers' work? Why are you booking them? What are they giving you that someone else isn't? How are they shooting? Why are they shooting, you know? Does this photographer excite you about your wedding and your wedding photography? Did you go away from that meeting with that photographer, from that venue, from that MUA, from that hairdresser, so much more excited about what that person's going to bring to the table for your wedding day? Can you see the value in what that photographer is doing? Can you see the value in what that venue gives compared to another venue, compared to another florist, all those kind of things? What time is this photographer giving you? You know, I give you so much more time because I genuinely want to do that. I think giving you your photographs just on a gallery isn't good enough, which is why I meet couples first and foremost, and then it's why I show you your photographs in person after the wedding, because I want to see that couple again. We spent all this time together only just to show you a gallery and say goodbye. No, I want to see you again. Let's have some drinks. Let me show you those photographs. Let me explain some things sometimes, and let's run through all the things that are left in the package for you to order after the wedding as well. Oh, we forgot what was in the package you did for us. We forgot about the albums. Can you show us some more albums and how our photographs will work in those albums? You know, it's so important for me to give as much time as I can to my couples. I can only do that in reflection to what I charge. If I'm charging £1,000 and giving you all these things and all this time, it just doesn't make any business sense whatsoever. It's going back in time for me as well. If I charge enough for what I do, it's representative of the work that I do. I look at some of the best photographers in the world. I only follow really some of the best photographers in the world because their work inspires me and I love it, and I wish I get to that level, you know. You've got to see what wedding photography is all about. You've got to see the best and then see the worst, and see people who are just starting out, to people who've been in it a few years, to people who've been on it for 5-6 years, to be in it for 10 years. You've got to see what everyone produces, what fine art photography is, what creative photography is, what is reportage photography, what natural photography. You know, most of you who are getting married, you've never been married before. How would you know what all these things are until you investigate them? Research, research, research some more.